Welcome, dear listeners, to History with Herodotus, where we embark on a journey through the annals of time, unraveling the threads that weave together the tapestry of human experience. Today, we find ourselves in the midst of a most fascinating era, one that saw the emergence of a literary and cultural movement that would shake the very foundations of American society, the Beat Generation. As we delve into the origins of this captivating phenomenon, let us first set the stage. It is the 1940s, a time of great social change and upheaval in the United States. The Second World War has just come to an end, leaving behind a sense of disillusionment and discontent among the nation's youth. In this fertile ground, a new movement began to take shape, one that would reject mainstream values and seek to create a more authentic bohemian lifestyle. In the summer of 1944, Allen Ginsberg, a young poet from New Jersey, met Jack Kerouac, a charismatic writer from Massachusetts, at Columbia University in New York City. This chance encounter would prove to be a pivotal moment in the development of the generation. The two men quickly became friends, bonding over their shared love of literature and music. As we explore the earliest history of the Beat Generation, we find ourselves in the midst of a vibrant cultural scene, with the likes of jazz musicians like Charlie Parker and Thelonious Monk pushing the boundaries of musical expression. The air is thick with the smell of cigarette smoke, coffee, and rebellion, as these young visionaries challenge the status quo and forge a new path. In 1944, Ginsberg and Kerouac began to explore the city together, attending jazz performances at iconic venues like Minton's Playhouse in Harlem and the Village Vanguard in Greenwich Village. They also visited art museums, such as the Museum of Modern Art, where they were inspired by the works of abstract expressionist painters like Jackson Pollock and Willem de Kooning. Their discussions often revolved around the works of William Blake, Walt Whitman, and Arthur Rimbaud, whose poetry would later influence their own writing. They were also drawn to the ideas of philosophers like Friedrich Nietzsche and Henri Bergson, who emphasized the importance of individual freedom and creativity. In the summer of 1944, Ginsberg and Kerouac met Neal Cassady, a charismatic figure from Denver, who would become a central character in the Beat Generation. Cassady's spontaneous and unconventional nature had a profound impact on the group, encouraging them to reject mainstream values and pursue a more authentic, bohemian lifestyle. As the years passed, other key figures began to emerge, including William S. Burroughs, a writer and intellectual who would become a close friend and mentor to Ginsberg and Kerouac. In 1946, Burroughs introduced the group to the works of French surrealist writers like André Breton and Guillaume Apollinaire, whose experimental style and emphasis on the subconscious would influence their own writing. The autumn of 1946 marked another significant milestone in the development of the Beat Generation. It was during this time that Ginsberg, Kerouac, and Burroughs began to share their writing with one another, offering critiques and encouragement that would help shape their unique styles. This period also saw the emergence of other key figures, such as Gregory Corso and John Cleland Holmes, who would contribute to the movement's growth and diversification. And so, dear listeners, we have arrived at the threshold of a most remarkable era, one that would give rise to some of the most iconic works of American literature. As we prepare to enter the next phase of our journey, we find ourselves on the cusp of a creative revolution, one that would forever alter the landscape of American art and culture. Join me as we venture forth into the heart of the Beat Generation, where the rhythms of jazz, the thrill of adventure, and the pursuit of artistic expression converge in a swirl. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, where we continue our journey through the annals of time, unraveling the threads that weave together the tapestry of human experience. It is the late 1940s and early 1950s, a time when the likes of Allen Ginsberg, Jack Kerouac, and William S. Burroughs were pushing the boundaries of literary expression. In 1947, Kerouac began working on his novel, The Town and the City, which would later become a seminal work of the Beat Generation. This novel, published in 1950, marked a significant milestone in the development of the movement's unique style, which blended elements of jazz, poetry, and spontaneous prose. Meanwhile, Ginsberg was honing his craft, drawing inspiration from the works of Walt Whitman and William Blake. His poem Howl, written in 1955, would become an iconic representation of the Beat Generation's spirit, with its raw emotional language and exploration of themes such as nonconformity and social justice. As we explore this period, we find ourselves in the midst of a vibrant cultural scene, with the likes of jazz musicians like Miles Davis and John Coltrane pushing the boundaries of musical expression. The air is thick with the smell of cigarette smoke, coffee, and rebellion, as these young visionaries challenge the status quo and forge a new path. In 1951, Kerouac and his friends embarked on a series of road trips across America, which would later inspire some of the movement's most iconic works. These journeys, documented in Kerouac's novel On the Road published in 1957, captured the sense of freedom and spontaneity that defined the Beat Generation. The autumn of 1955 marked another significant milestone in the development of the movement. It was during this time that Ginsberg, Kerouac, and other key figures began to gather at the Sixth Gallery in San Francisco, where they would share their writing and engage in lively discussions about art, literature, and philosophy. This period also saw the emergence of other influential figures, such as Lawrence Ferlinghetti and Kenneth Rexroth, who would contribute to the movement's growth and diversification. As we explore this remarkable era, we find ourselves in the midst of a creative revolution, one that would forever alter the landscape of American art and culture. The Beat Generation's emphasis on spontaneity, non-conformity, and artistic expression would inspire countless writers, artists, and musicians, shaping the course of American cultural history. And so, dear listeners, we have arrived at the height of the Beat Generation's influence, a period that saw the emergence of some of the most iconic works of American literature. As we prepare to enter the next phase of our journey, we find ourselves on the cusp of a new era, one that would see the movement's ideas and ideals spread far beyond the confines of the literary world. Join me as we venture forth into the legacy of the Beat Generation, where the rhythms of jazz, the thrill of adventure, and the pursuit of artistic expression continue to inspire and captivate us to this day. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, where we continue our journey through the annals of time, unraveling the threads that weave together the tapestry of human experience. It is the late 1950s and early 1960s, a time when the likes of Allen Ginsberg, Jack Kerouac, and William S. Burroughs were becoming household names, and their work was inspiring a new generation of writers, artists, and musicians. As we explore this period, we find ourselves in the midst of a cultural revolution, one that would forever alter the landscape of American art and culture. The Beat Generation's emphasis on spontaneity, nonconformity, and artistic expression had created a ripple effect, inspiring countless young people to challenge the status quo and forge their own paths. One notable example of this is the emergence of the counterculture movement of the 1960s, which drew heavily from the Beat Generation's ideals. The likes of Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, and other folk musicians were inspired by the Beat's emphasis on spontaneity and nonconformity, and their music reflected a similar desire for social change and creative expression. In 1958, Ginsberg's poem Howl was put on trial for obscenity, sparking a national debate about censorship and artistic freedom. This event marked a significant turning point in the movement's history, as it brought the Beat Generation into the mainstream consciousness and sparked a wider conversation about the role of art in society. As we explore this period, we also find ourselves in the midst of a geographical shift, as many of the key figures associated with the Beat Generation began to migrate from the East Coast to the West Coast. San Francisco's North Beach neighborhood became a hub for beat activity, with the likes of Lawrence Ferlinghetti and Kenneth Rexroth establishing themselves as central figures in the movement. The autumn of 1960 marked another significant milestone in the development of the movement's legacy. It was during this time that the first issue of the Paris Review was published, featuring an interview with Jack Kerouac. This event marked a significant turning point in the movement's history, as it brought the Beat Generation into the international spotlight and cemented their reputation as major literary figures. As we explore this remarkable era, we find ourselves in the midst of a complex web of influences and ideas, one that would continue to shape American art and culture for decades to come. The Beat Generation's emphasis on spontaneity, nonconformity, and artistic expression had created a lasting legacy, inspiring countless writers, artists, and musicians to challenge the status quo and forge their own paths. In the words of Allen Ginsberg, "The only war that matters is the war against the imagination." This quote encapsulates the spirit of the Beat Generation, a movement that was all about challenging the norms and pushing the boundaries of artistic expression. As we conclude our journey through the annals of time, we are reminded that the legacy of the Beat Generation continues to inspire and captivate us to this day, a testament to the enduring power of creativity and nonconformity. And so, dear listeners, we have arrived at the end of our journey through the history of the Beat Generation. We hope you have enjoyed this exploration of one of the most fascinating and influential cultural movements of the 20th century. Join us next time on History with Herodotus, as we venture forth into new territories and uncover more secrets from the annals of time. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that to understand the present, we must first understand the past.